Thank you for coming back here. Obviously, we could see the emotions. We saw you put the gloves down. Unfortunately, we got caught up in an interview, so we didn't get to hear everything that you said out there. But was this a decision that you came here knowing that if you didn't get a win, were you going to lay down the gloves regardless? Or was it as the fight played out?
It wasn't so much about the win or the loss. I've known for a while that, like, maybe my heart wasn't in fighting anymore. I enjoyed the training process. I enjoyed everything about it. I think I really I had the 2 knee surgeries, and that was not the way I was going to go out in the sport. I wasn't going to let an injury hold me back. I wanted to prove to myself, nobody else, just myself, that I can overcome 2 ACL surgeries and get back to being in the best shape of my life and come back and fight at the top level in the UFC. And I did that, but I also knew in the process that if I didn't feel what I wanted to feel in the cage, that I was going to retire. I don't like the nerves of, it's like a roller coaster ride. You get those nerves and those butterflies and the anxiety, and I just don't like that feeling anymore. And I don't like, my legs got heavy in there. I just felt heavy, and I just didn't feel like, not that I didn't try to push the pace, but I just didn't have that, extra little oomph to, really, fight out of bad positions. And I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's physical. I don't know if it's just, I've been doing this sport for 20 years, so it takes a toll on you mentally and physically. So yeah, part of me did know that it was maybe going to be my last fight, and I said that if I felt great in there and I had the desire to really push the pace, then I would, continue on in the sport. But I said that if I didn't have it in me to I just felt something in there that I didn't I went after it, and I actually loved getting hit. That wasn't I was it felt kind of good, which, it's weird, but I just didn't, I just wanted the fight to be over. And I'm not saying I gave up. I just realized, this isn't, for me anymore.
When did that feeling where you were feeling I'm not having fun in here, I want this fight to be over, was that third round, second round, or was there just a place where you're this just doesn't feel like it used to? Did that come on quick in the fight, or is it as the fight maybe went on?
It was even in the locker room. I just felt like my legs were heavy. I get these nerves in the pit of my stomach, and sometimes they go away as soon as I get in the ring, and sometimes they don't, and I just felt and not nervous about the fight. It wasn't even about the fight. It was just about competing, I guess, or not wanting to have that feeling anymore, to where it's I don't feel this way in the gym. In the gym, I feel super strong, and I feel great, and even I don't know if it's the recovery from the weight cut. You're forcing all this food that you don't normally eat, and you're you have to get your body, you have to lose all this weight, and then I don't know if the weight cut does something to me, to where I just don't feel good anymore. And it's not I have terrible weight cuts. It's just that, you put your body through so much, and, you're training so hard every day, and I eat clean. I eat to where I feel good, so I have good energy. And then it's I have great energy in the gym, and I can push it, and I can push the pace, and, but then it's just I felt in the cage, I couldn't really push the pace. And it's why am I going to train so hard for 3 months to not feel as good in the cage as I do in training? It just, that's what you're fighting for.
Well, I know that I even talk with other media members. You always come into a fight week in shape, and I thought you looked your physique was so super ripped when you were up on there. So you could definitely tell that you did the fitness, that you did all the work. Was there any point in when you were pushing yourself, when you were training as hard, did any of the thoughts of that this might be the last one, did it ever pull back from any of the training, or was it always you loved training so much that nothing was going to stop you from training as hard as possible?
Yeah, well, there was a point in time, I think recovering from the knee surgeries was really hard on me, physically and mentally, because it took a long time to get back. And, I was every day, like I would train really hard and then I would like get really, really sick. And my body was like aching and sore. And, I had to see a doctor to get, like blood, I got blood work done. I got blood, urine, saliva. I got a hormone panel, I got everything done. And then, I had, a lot of deficiencies and whatnot, probably too from, my first knee surgery, my first surgeon did an incomplete surgery and I didn't know it. So I was in pain all the time. So I was like taking all this, like all these pain pills every single day just to get through training. And I don't know if it like messed up my gut. I don't know if it messed up my hormones, like I had all these deficiencies. So once I like found out all like the deficiencies and worked with my, doctor to like get everything back up. And once my body started feeling good, I was like, okay, I got this. Like I can feel good again. And, I loved training and I actually felt so good and amazing that I thought that's how I was going to feel in the cage. Like I really believed in myself. I really thought I was going to do amazing, and then I don't know, like in the ring and like in the locker room, the nerves just like didn't go away. And then I got in the cage and I just didn't feel amazing, And it sucks too because I do train very hard. Like my physicality, like my body isn't like, I don't train to look like this. I just train really hard to like perform well. And it's like, what's the point? If I can't perform well, then I might as well just go to the gym and do what I love, go to my, kickboxing classes and do my yoga and do my strength training and like just train for me. I don't know. It's really sad for me because I think too, as a fighter who's been doing it for so long, you feel like, what am I going to do when I'm not fighting, And I know there's so many other things that I can do. I know that I'm more than just a fighter, and I actually like mentally got to a place before the fight, like knowing that I might retire and knowing that for the first time in my life, I really believe that I have so much more to offer the world than just like Felice Herrick, the fighter. But it's still hard to leave, the sport behind. And I do, and it's not even like I would still do boxing, I love boxing, and I don't think that my legs would feel as tired, and that's what I started off doing with kickboxing and boxing, and like that's actually like what I really love to do. I'm not saying I don't love MMA, I just feel like there's so many elements to MMA that almost like give me anxiety, like, well, what if she does this, and what if she does this, and I don't know, should I be focusing more on grappling, should I be focusing more on striking, everybody's constantly evolving, that it's almost like, I go into camps like almost like so overwhelmed, like what do I focus on,
Well, I guess that's good to hear. So I guess that leaves the door open for combat sports, and I guess still there, maybe just not MMA, but boxing. You could see yourself maybe going into boxing?
Well, boxing is my first love, and I knew, like, even like I talk to my boxing coach all the time about it. I'm like, I love boxing, and I love training with you. Like, I love training with my boxing coach, and I'm actually like, when I just can hone in on boxing, like I feel like that's what I love, like that's what I'm the best at. That's like what I want to do the most, and I'm not saying like, even like MMA. So I started MMA because I was in the sport, I was on a reality show called Fight Girls in 2007, and I was on there with Gina Carano, and Brandon Vera's wife was on it, and then I got to meet Randy Couture through Gina, and like I just realized that everything was going towards MMA, and that's why I got into MMA. And I don't know if I ever really loved it. And I know that's really sad to say, and it seems like I'm like a traitor or a fake or whatever, like, oh, you don't love MMA, you've been doing it so long, or, I know people are going to talk shit about me, like, oh, no wonder you lost, your heart's not, like, whatever, people are going to say whatever they want, but, like, I never loved MMA. I love it in training, but, like, I really love boxing, like, that has always been my first love, so maybe, everything's just going to come full circle. I don't know.
And maybe it's too soon to ask this sort of question, or maybe it's something that you think about later on, but when you made the decision that you were willing to walk away, when you think about your career as a whole, are you pleased with how your MMA career went, or do you have any regrets of anything, or when you look back on this career that you built, I mean, I consider you one of the pioneers in what women were able to accomplish to this date. So, I mean, I guess, are any regrets, or are you proud of what you were able to accomplish?
I'm proud and I'm not proud. I feel like my anxiety for so long got in, like, my, like, anxiety about, like, the scale. Like, I had a lot of eating disorders, which probably helped me, like, not perform so well. I had a lot of, like, anxiety about, just anxiety about the sport, like, the media, and, oh, I can't say this in my interview because then they'll take it like this, and, like, almost like, or I feel like I could have done more. I really do believe I could have done more. And I know I did a lot, but I think that's what's so hard is, like, I'm leaving the sport like a very physically capable human being. I'm not like a lot of people where it's like, oh, it's time to hang up the gloves because I'm just like this sloppy, like, girl who's like, oh, it's like her body's gone to shit, like everything's gone to shit. Like I physically feel great. And I don't know if it's just like the sport's just worn on me. But I guess to answer your question, I think that's my biggest problem with myself is no matter what I do, no matter how much I accomplish, nothing's ever good enough for me. So, I don't know. I might have regrets later on, like, oh, you could have done more. Why did you leave the sport? But at the same time, like, if you're not doing what you love anymore, then there's no point in staying.
Well, I guess that kind of touches on my final question. A lot of times in MMA retirement, sometimes don't stick. Sometimes things are said in the heat of the moment, and then 6 months later we see somebody have a change of heart. Where you're currently at in your head now, this decision will stick, or do you leave the door open at some future later date?
I really don't like when people make a decision to retire and then they're like, oh, surprise, I'm back, I'm here, I'm out of retirement. I feel like it will stick. I'll still train. I still love training. I just feel like I don't want to mentally, like, do this to myself anymore. I feel like maybe it's more mental than physical, that I just don't. I love the process of training. I feel like that's what I love to do, but competing just makes me feel like,
Well, thank you for all the years of fights. I appreciate everything that you've done.
Thank you.
Hey, Felice. Over.
Oh, hey, hi.
It's all good. It's all good. Just want to say thank you for a fantastic career. You are one of the OGs in the sport. I just wanted to know what was your favorite fight of your career?
Alexa Grasso. Do you want me to elaborate or just?
Yes, please.
So when I fought Alexa Grasso, I was like 3-1 underdog. Like Grasso's up and comer, and she's a great fighter. She is a badass. But everybody underestimated me. They were always talking about how great her striking was, and Felice couldn't strike with her. And I'm like, do you not even know that I have like 30-something kickboxing fights? I feel like people they want to look at all these up-and-comers like they're like a god, and they kind of like dismiss like people who actually have been in the sport in a long time and accomplished a lot, because it's all about like, oh, what are you doing now? And you can forget about everything else. But for that fight, I felt so dialed in. Like, it wasn't like just in camp. Like in the locker room, I remember being like the calmest I've ever been. Like, I just felt like ready to go. Like, I wanted to compete. And so that was my favorite fight.
Awesome. And then, on your way out, there's all these little girls that are now, coming up and fighting and want to be fighters, and they're going to look at you as, someone to idolize. What is your message to little girls that are getting into the sport?
I would say to not look at, the outcome and the fame, and I would just say to train hard. Like I always say, to train hard. Like always, like, do what you love. Do it because you love it, not because like your parents are pushing you to do it, not because you see like these celebrities or these other famous fighters and you're like, oh, I want to be like that. But it's like, do you really want to like put in all the work? Like you have to, like, it's not easy. Like people always see the finished picture, but there's so much more to the fight game than just like, oh, look at her, she's on TV. It's a lot of work, and you have to be prepared to do the work and not expect that it's just gonna come to you like, oh, well, I'm in the gym, like I should be in the UFC. You know, you gotta put the work in.
Thank you again for a fantastic career.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you, Felice, for the memories, for helping elevate the game to the next. Tough 20, being your honest, upfront, vulnerable, even tonight. Telling us how you super felt. So on behalf of everybody on social media, thank you, and best of luck on the next chapter of your career.
You're welcome. Thank you.